Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. Originally posted September 8th, 2016 by user Justice Crew Cut. Posted to r/relationships. My, male 32, younger brother, male 22, passed away 5 years ago, and his ex-roommate stole his bitcoins afterwards. This includes a 4-year update. My younger brother passed away nearly 5 years ago from an overdose, which devastated my family at the time. I knew he was into drugs and continually warned him about it, but he assured me he had it under control. I couldn't really take the high moral ground anyhow, since he knew I had also indulged it in myself in my younger days. Though that wasn't exactly a secret in my family. I was posted overseas when it happened and felt some guilt that if I hadn't been away, I would have been able to prevent him being influenced by his circle of friends at the time. But ultimately, I realized I was not my brother's keeper. Afterwards, I assisted my parents with putting his belongings into storage to be sorted out at a later date and returned to my job. When my contract ended, I returned home and had the time to sort through some of my brother's things that my parents hadn't looked at yet. Among them was his computer, which I was hoping might have had some photos or other things of interest on it. I managed to salvage a few good pictures and video, though most of it was of him hanging out with his friends at the time. It was still good to have a few extra memories of him from back then. It was while I was going through the installed programs, I noticed he had Bitcoin software installed. I know he used to buy certain things for himself and his friends online, so it wasn't a surprise to me that he had this. I knew that Bitcoin had gone up in value over the past several years, so part of me hoped he might have had an amount there, but when I ran the Bitcoin program, it said zero balance. I wasn't too surprised at that until I looked at the transaction details. There was regular activity there right up until the week before he passed away, and then nothing after that. Until 2 years ago, when the total balance at the time of 147 bitcoins was transferred out of it. This made no sense to me unless someone else had a copy of his account or had hacked them from him somehow. But then I checked the history log on the computer, and lo and behold, it had been started up several times on the date the transfer happened. Going back to my parents, I asked them if anyone else had used the computer since they got it back from storage. They remembered that yes, 2 years ago, my brother's old roommate looked them up and asked if they still had his computer and could use it to get a copy of some files to do with their old rental. They had let him use it for a couple of hours and he left afterwards and hadn't heard from him since. I looked him up on social media from his post history. It seemed like he suddenly came into some serious money judging from the purchases and activities he was involved with at around the same time. So where do I go from here? The evidence strongly points to his having stolen the bitcoins, but what are my options? Do I confront him directly? Do I have anything to stand on? My parents went through a lot over the years, and it would be good if I could at least give them back something for all their blood, sweat, and tears. And I know it's what my brother would have wanted. Too long didn't read, younger brother passes away, leaving a secret bitcoin stash behind. Ex-roommate tricks my parents into giving him access to his computer before anyone can find it, and steals them. Edit, thanks for the advice so far, particularly the suggestion to post this to r/Bitcoin for help. I will be driving down to my parents this weekend to check the computer for the Bitcoin information to investigate this further. The community is amazing. I will continue to post updates as they happen. Relevant comments. I'm sorry for this pronunciation. Feyuki Watro. 1. Get in contact with a family lawyer. 2. Do your parents still have the message where he asked to use the computer? Security footage when he was at your house. Anything is useful here. If you don't have it, see what your lawyer thinks about this idea. Something along the lines as, contact him and ask him if he used your brother's computer about 2 years ago, when he was deceased, and make sure it's on paper. 3. Was the computer password protected? 4. Post the address that the coins were sent to. Maybe some Bitcoiners can help and find out which exchange he used to cash out. Then we can try and contact the exchange for extra help. Hopefully this guy has sold his bitcoins through an exchange where he was verified with his passport/address, and then I think you'll have a solid case. Edit. Also, you need to act fast. This guy might be reading the subreddit and he might come across this post. Good luck. Lofi responds, I appreciate the quick response. I'll answer in point form. 1. I'd like to avoid illegal if possible due to what my brother was using them for and also the cost. Not ruling it out later though. 2. There was no password set. 3. I will post an update with the address information when I have it. Since it looks like he did cash it out, I really hope you're right about his having done it somewhere he can be tracked. Deleted user. Good luck with legal pursuit of action in this circumstance. There's a reason why Bitcoin is used in the darknet markets. OP responds, That's my only concern with this if we do pursue this legally. I know my brother was using them for less than legal purchase at the time, which could be linked back to the Bitcoins. User 2227337 responds, What are they gonna do? Arrest your brother? The worst case scenario would be to seize the Bitcoins, which I doubt would happen. For some quick eyes historical context here, in 2011, around the time that OP's brother would have passed, this would have been during the peak and the height of the initial goings of the Silk Road, a marketplace that utilized entirely Bitcoin for transactions and was used to purchase illegal substances. If I had to wager a guess, OP's brother purchased those Bitcoins when they were extremely cheap and was utilizing them to purchase illegal substances through the dark net. Anyways, back with the post. Mini update, same day. Just an update, I was sent a PM from a fairly notable individual in the subreddit with an offer to help, which I have accepted based on history and reputation here. On his advice, I will be collecting the computer from my parents' place later today instead of the weekend so we can jump on this ASAP, due to this now being out in the open. He is also using his connections to get a free legal opinion from someone qualified in this area. I can't say much else until I hear back from them, but I will be sure to provide further details as soon as I'm able. For now, I just want to thank the community in r/Bitcoin for all the kind words and advice you have given. It's people like you who restore my faith in humanity after experiencing idiots like my brother's ex-roommate. Editor's note, many were skeptical of the unknown Redditor's assistance, including user Fuyuki Wataro. Trust nobody, especially people who privately send you mails regardless of what their reputation is. They might fuck you over. It has happened in the past plenty enough times. Makes me wonder if this person has such a great reputation, why aren't they coming out in the open? 4 years ago, at the urging of others, I posted the sub asking for help with the recovery of stolen Bitcoins. I promised an update to the story when I could, and now, finally, I can. Posted February 20th, 2021. 4.5 years later. 4 years ago, I posted about how the ex-roommate of my brother, who tragically passed away, took advantage of my parents to gain access to his computer after he died and stole his Bitcoin stash. I originally posted to the relationship sub, but was quickly directed to repost to the Bitcoin sub to see if anyone there could offer any advice. Soon after doing that, I was privately approached by a credible individual from this group with an offer of assistance, which myself and my parents accepted. Through their network of contacts, we received expert technical advice and forensic analysis at absolutely no cost whatsoever, and legal representation that truly understood the issue at hand and was prepared to work on a no-win, no-fee basis. We owe all these people a massive debt of gratitude for what they have been able to achieve for us here, and has finally come to a conclusion in these last few weeks. The analysis of the computer took several weeks before we heard back, but the results were extremely promising. They had identified that while all the Bitcoins had indeed been transferred to another wallet, not all the Bitcoins in this wallet had been spent. There was still approximately 36 Bitcoins remaining in there that had not been touched. Of what had been spent, there was significant trails of evidence which was used as the starting point of commencing legal action against the individual in question. It has taken time and much of it is under non-disclosure, but what I can confirm is that an agreement was made to withdraw our case against him in return for transferring this remaining balance back to my brother's estate. Yesterday, our lawyer let us know that this has now been done. They are handling the technical aspects of this for us, but the upshot is that the cash equivalent of nearly 29 Bitcoins will shortly be transferred to my parents. This couldn't have come at a better or more needed time. The past 12 months with COVID-19 has taken a significant toll on them. Their business was up against the wall, and they potentially stood to lose everything unless things turned around. So this cash infusion has taken away all that fear and stress they were living under. This entire saga began with the premature death of my brother, and now concludes with him leaving behind a legacy of hope and optimism for our parents. Somewhere up there, I know he's smiling and cheering them on. In the end, you did good, Raph. Editor's note, thanks to Archangel Zerial, in 2014 it was worth 50 to 60k, in 2021 it was worth 1.5 million. It takes a special kind of monster / grave-robbing scumbag to see that Bitcoin's price is rising, getting desperate for money, and then realizing, wait a minute, my roommate who died 3 years ago had a lot of Bitcoin on them. I wonder if I can get access to that, because surely his non-tech savvy parents would have no idea how to even begin to approach that or prove any kind of trail that there was even some kind of cash inheritance in the first place. So he makes it the lie, approaches the parents, gets goodwill access to the computer, and walks away with what would have today been worth over $15 million. That is a hell of an estate to steal from someone who couldn't even fight back. My guess would be the reason why they settled is because with the complications of spending the Bitcoin, there would have been no way in hell for him to make back the money that he spent that wasn't his. So it turned into, fine, you give us back what we're owed and what's actually ours, we won't pursue any criminal action, and we'll move on with this. That's my personal guess as to how this all went down. This post was collected by Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is, I'm keeping the garlic. Originally posted to Front Adeptness 8857, posted to r/toddlers June 1st, 2025. My toddler is driving me crazy. Literally. I cannot do the constant tantrums anymore. Every day for hours on end, all I hear is crying, holy shit. I feel like such a bad mom, but I dread picking up my 2-year-old from daycare because all she does is cry. I guess this is just me venting, but it's gotten to the point where I feel like I need to be on meds for my mental health to simply even deal with this. I'm not an enjoyable person to be around because my mood is so heavily impacted by a 2-year-old crying in my ear for at least 5 hours. I have tried no screens, hours of play, letting her have independence, routine. She's not like this with anyone else other than me. She honestly would crawl back in my cooch if she could. I'm tired, I'm irritable, I feel like a horrible parent. I cannot do this anymore. Some of OP's comments. To a deleted commenter. I'm really trying to stay sane. The constant wait until this age is losing all appeal. Commenter. I feel you, fellow almost 2-year-old mom here, and my son is the same way. This is fucking hard. I don't think I could have another kid and do this shit again. I have no idea how people have multiple kids. OP responds, oh yeah, that ship has sailed. I'm never having kids again. Update post. August 7th, 2025. 2 months later. Title. Update. She couldn't hear. Too long didn't read. My toddler was driving me crazy with tantrums the entire time she couldn't hear. About 2 months ago, I posted about how I was literally losing my mind due to constant tantrums with my 2-year-old. After a month of going batshit crazy, I finally raised it to her pediatrician. I knew some of the tantrums were linked to ineffective communication and had been constantly telling her pediatrician that I felt like her speech was delayed. However, I was always met with, just wait. At 18 months, it was, just wait till she starts daycare. She'll explode. At 20 months, it was, just wait till she turns 2. Then she won't be quiet. At 24 months, it was, just wait one day. She'll wake up and be talking up a storm. Finally, I put my foot down and insisted a speech and ENT evaluation. She met the requirements for speech 2 days a week, but she also royally flunked her hearing exam. She was practically deaf due to the amount of fluid in her ears. Ultimately, she had to get her tonsils removed, adenoids removed, and tubes in her ears. She's now 28 months and doing so much better. She's still a diva and has several tantrums, but they're somewhat purposeful now. Her speech is 10,000 times better, and overall, we're getting over the hump. I still will be going to a psychiatrist to get an evaluation, but my mood is so much more manageable now. Hopefully, I don't fall in love with my psychiatrist, lol. It's a TikTok reference. Editor's note, thank you to you/SLP023 for sharing this. For everyone reading this, there is a program in the US called Early Intervention, and this is what we do. I'm an SLP for the birth to 3 kids. It's available to everyone. I frequently refer kids to an ENT and an audiologist. I see enlarged tonsils and adenoids and fluid in the ears all the time. We don't like the wait and see method. Lots of pediatricians are starting to refer earlier. You don't need a doctor's referral. Patients can call themselves and set up an evaluation. I hate reading stories like this because help is available. If you aren't sure, call us anyway. We'd rather check your kid out and make sure they're doing well. For those of you who have been watching me for a while, it's probably pretty obvious why I wanted to include this one. But also, this is just a really good PSA for anyone who might have a child And they're in that early development process and, they might have some concerns or just want peace of mind. Definitely don't wait and just get your child looked at and see what kind of local resources you have and just, take matters into your own hands. So I thought this would have been kind of just a really nice and short insertion here as a break between two posts. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77 and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is Gosh Sharon, posted to r/relationships, January 2nd, 2017. Hi everyone. Post-recording Oz here. Content warning for mentions of sexual assault in this post. I, 21 female, set up a date between my two friends, 29 male and 25 female. Something went wrong that night, and now my guy friend won't talk to me. I met my friend Chuck, 29 male, about 1.5 years ago. We were both part of an online local group for single parents and eventually met offline with other group parents. I've known Britt, 25 female, since high school. Chuck's wife died of childbirth complications the day their daughter was born, more than 2 years ago. Britt is a few months out of a 9-year relationship. Both of them have expressed wanting to meet other people. And I thought they'd be good for each other because of common interests, and we all have kids of similar ages. 2 days before Christmas, Chuck and Britt went out on their first date. I kept Chuck's daughter at my house so the two could have some more time together without him having to worry about the baby. The plan was for her to spend the night. She's done it before and gets along great with my 3-year-old girl. But Chuck knocked on my door at 11 p.m. to get his daughter. He barely said a word to me, and I could tell he had been crying. But he wouldn't tell me what was wrong. The next day, I asked Britt what happened. She said that they had dinner and a couple drinks, things were going excellent. She said she felt like they had great chemistry and were even getting physical at his house. But he suddenly told her to stop and to leave immediately. She swears that she has no idea what she did wrong and is really hurt by the whole thing. I believe her because she is really sweet and social, and I've never seen her do anything to piss anyone off. I tried to talk to Chuck at the same time to get his side of the story and see what went wrong. All he said was that he wasn't feeling it and didn't want to discuss it further. I didn't push it, but when I went to wish him a Merry Christmas a day later, I saw he had deleted me from his social media. I texted it to him instead and asked, "You okay?" But no response. I'm seriously hurt and don't know what to do. Chuck has become one of my closest friends and our daughters are the best of friends too. I'm really worried that this has something to do with his wife, and I want to apologize if he felt like I was pressuring him to date after her death. At the same time, I don't want to overstep boundaries and bother him when he's having a hard time. It's been over a week and I'm worried/upset. Too long didn't read, I set my two friends up on a date. Things were apparently going well until my guy friend suddenly called off the date. He has now deleted me from his social media and will not talk to me. Relevant comments/theories. Deleted user. Chuck's daughter will be a constant reminder of his late wife. He still hasn't finished grieving or isn't ready to move on. Guilt about enjoying female company and getting physical contact will be huge. He would feel he has to hide emotions from his daughter about his late wife. He's locked him away and is doing the same thing right now. Give him time and let him know that you're there when he's ready. Opie responds, "I completely agree with you, and we'll be giving him plenty of space for a while before I try to talk to him again. Thank you." We've actually talked about the constant reminder thing. Little Chuck looks exactly like his wife, and apparently it's getting harder instead of better because of that. I kind of feel like a jerk for being offended by him not speaking to me. I can't imagine that pain. User Beavervest comments, "It sounds like he's not ready to be dating, and he's displacing that guilt on you as you were the one who set it up, with completely good intentions, and now he feels you're responsible for how he feels. My suggestion would be to wait it out. It could take some time, weeks or months. If you continue to contact him often, it will only make it worse and push him away. I would let it clear, a couple weeks, and maybe once more reach out with an apology again, saying your friendship and each other's daughter's friendship means a lot to you. If he cold shoulders you again, you need to move on. Unfortunately, life is a set of friendships that pass as our lives continue where they need to head." Opie responds, "That's what my gut was telling me. I just wanted to make sure that I was doing enough. Hopefully he'll come around because I've gotten really attached to him and his kid. It would be so sad to never see them again." Fennec Murderer comments, "He realized you consider him a friend. He clearly expected more." Edit, someone mentioned that Chucky may be in love with me, but deleted the comment. I still want to address that. He's almost a full decade older than me, and has never expressed those feelings for me at all. In fact, the week before he cut me off, he said that I was a great friend and he was happy that his daughter had some female figures in her life. Fennec Murder responds with a comment. I'm the one who mentioned he might be expecting romance with you, and I didn't delete the comment, I got downvoted into oblivion. Quote, edit, someone mentioned that Chucky may be in love with me, but I deleted the comment. I still want to address that. He's almost a full decade older than me, and has never expressed those feelings to me at all. In fact, the week before he cut me off, he said that I was a great friend, and he was happy that his daughter had some female figures in her life. Yeah, I did not like the syllable combination at the end there. That is hard to say fast. You mean, like a new mom? A great friend just need a little intimacy and mutual attraction to become a significant other. Common interest, trust, respect are already there. Read the signs. Being a decade older never prevented men to be romantically interested in younger ladies. The fact that you use it as a demonstration might indicate that you don't want to see he may be into you while still mourning his wife. That's perfectly legit, but people feeling rejected might try stuff, like dating your friend, and/or cut relationship. I'd say the biggest problem with the sub is that it's always one-sided, and people sometimes can be not fully aware of the other people's signs in communication. It's still a theory. Edit 2. Thanks all for your advice, everyone. I think I will give it another week before I speak with him again, if he hasn't reached out by then. I will tell him that I'm still here if he needs to talk, but I will continue to give him space if he needs that too. I am almost 100% sure that this happened because of his wife's death. Another one of my friends who is still on his Facebook saw that he had changed his cover photo several times since Christmas, and all of them were from his wedding. Oh, poor guy. Update, January 2nd, 2017. 10 days later. Chuck finally contacted me 2 days ago. He apologized for unfriending me and not talking to me. As many of you said, he was embarrassed by what happened on the date and even angry at me for setting them up. She completely lied to me. He maintains that they went to dinner, had drinks, but then he says Britt got completely shit-faced and was trying to get him to have sex in the parking lot. When he said no, she got very aggressive to the point where he made her get out of the car and got her a cab. Once he knew she was gone, he went to my place to get his daughter and was so pissed at me, he couldn't talk to me about it. Of course, I apologized profusely and told him I didn't know that she was like that at all. He doesn't blame me and said I didn't need to be sorry. So we're cool now. I confronted Britt yesterday. All I said was that Chuck told me a different version of events. She started crying and admitted to everything, all on her own. She asked if I could ever forgive her, and I said yes. Oh. But I'm not sure if I was telling the truth. I'm not sure if I should keep Britt as a friend. You shouldn't. I'm really disgusted by her behavior, and I know if the sexes were reversed, I would stay the hell away from her. Too long didn't read, my friend Chuck had contact with me because I set him up with a bad drunk. We're cool now though, and I'm not sure what to do about Britt. Relevant comments from AZ Green Tea. Wow, I've been waiting patiently for this update, but I definitely did not expect this. Sorry about your friend, Britt, OP. I'm glad things between you and Chuck are okay now. OP responds, me neither. I never would have guessed if he didn't tell me. Faceless Void comments, you could just distance yourself for a bit. If I were you, it will definitely depend on her actions from here on. Is she really apologetic? Has she sent a sincere apology to Chuck? If yes, I will still maintain a friendship. But maybe not hang out with her too much for a while. It's still pretty annoying that she acted so stupidly and then lied to you afterwards. What for? I don't know. As if you won't find out the truth sooner or later. But if she is a great friend otherwise, this is forgivable. I don't think so. Given time and good attitude on her part. At least now you know not to set her up anymore with any of your friends. Opie responds, totally with you on the lying. I'm super annoyed that this could have been solved way earlier with honest communication from everyone involved. She apologized for lying, but not anything else. Just excuses on how she acts when she drinks too much. Organic Frost comments, quote, she got really aggressive, end quote. Make no mistake, that means she sexually assaulted him. Regardless of how successful she was, in that context, his response makes total sense. I'd drop her. Edit. Quote, she apologized for lying, but not anything else. Just excuses about how she acts when she drinks too much, end quote. This is a quote from you in another comment. That means it's not the first time she's assaulted someone. OP responds, holy shit. I don't know how I didn't catch that. Thank you. Commenter, I think perhaps before cutting Britt out of your life, you should straight out ask Chuck if he felt she was really or just a pushy drunk. Did he have to physically force her out of the car? Lots of guys call women names and act like assholes when we refuse to have sex with them, but there's a huge difference between being a drunken jerk and a rapist. Did Chuck feel threatened by Britt or just offended and turned off by her? Chuck obviously doesn't want to go on a second date, but he may not feel you can't be friends with Britt. OP responds, he felt threatened for sure. He said that the other day, and in hindsight, I could feel it when he came to my house that night. He had been crying and didn't talk to anyone for weeks. So, we're about to have a really shitty and difficult conversation on my end, because in order not to be labeled a hypocrite, I gotta talk about this, because last Thursday we had an episode of r/ entitled People Go Up, where one of the posters was in fact being sexually assaulted by her ex-boyfriend. Now, because of me and my history, sometimes if things hit too close to home, I can be uncomfy with saying things outright. So I labeled it as being uncomfy because that was the only way at the time that I could actually get through with talking about it, without it hitting way too close to home. And because of this, I had a lot of people accusing me of being a misogynist, a fake ally, and a lot of other things. Truth being, I've been sexually assaulted in my own home. And because of that, it's difficult for me to talk about certain things like that. So I just wanted to address that so that way no one in the comments calls me a hypocrite, because when a guy's sexually assaulted, I'm suddenly all over it, but when a girl's sexually assaulted, oh no, Oz is a misogynistic hypocrite. So, gotta bring that up, so that way I'm not called a hypocrite. I do want to apologize for using inconclusive terms during that, and not explaining why until later. I did try to go to as many comments as I could and sent a copy and paste comment just so that way people would be more understanding of where I was coming from, and that it was in fact just a mistake on my end with my inability to choose precise and exact language. So I am sorry for that. Now, with that said, so that way no one will call me a hypocrite for being more direct this time, yes, what Chuck went through was sexual assault, without a doubt. His reaction is entirely understandable, and I don't blame him the slightest for shutting down because of what he went through. It makes sense. The emotional turmoil would have been absolutely hell. I also very much hope that OP does cut Britt out of her life, because from her reaction, and as some of the comments pointed out, she's done this before, and this is something that she doesn't see a problem with, and she only labels lying as being the main point of contention here. Not the fact that she was being sexually aggressive towards a guy who is just not there, or not ready for that, and she continued her pursuit. That's not okay. And I hope that OP sees that and decides to lessen, if not completely cut out, all communication with Britt. Now, as just kind of like a bit of a palate cleanser before the outro bumper, just wanted to add, for those of you who are wondering what happened with the gaming stream that was supposed to happen earlier this week, my PC totally fucking died. I have an inaccessible boot drive with a bad boot config file, and that's just not fixable. So I don't have a gaming PC anymore, or a way to like stream or do any of that. So that's been awesome. So once everything's fixed, maybe even just a new rig built, plan on doing a Vault stream as well as a gaming stream. So yeah, that'll be fun. Got a new subreddit that I'm excited to stream on the Vault channel, and I think that'll be a fun experience. I'll try to give an announcement beforehand when that's planned. Anyways, take care, everyone. And now for the outro bumper. Woo! Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code OZ at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code OZ directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code OZ at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.